Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Mac.
And today we're giving our first impressions of Cytosis, a cell biology game. And this one was sent to us by Genius Games to review. And yeah, we thank them for that. But just know that going in. Yeah, we've played this as kind of our first impressions. We played this one once so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, I think after one play, I enjoyed what it has to offer. It has a very old school worker placement feel to it.
Yeah.
If worker placement can be considered old school, or if you can do that, but it just reminds me of games like Stone Age and like Lords of Waterdeep, just kind of the simple worker placement type games. But it actually adds something to it that I don't know that I've seen, at least not visually on a board like that before, and that is like staging of fulfilling a contract.
Oh.
The other games might have that, but I don't know that this, or
Yeah.
I can't think
It's
of any.
not just lay your person and claim something. It's like, or at least for one of the items, it's
Right.
like you've got to place here, then you got to place here, then you got to place here, while having enough resources to pay for the different pieces of that contract.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, for this game, worker placement, you're placing down kind of your little things, and it depends on player count. We played this at 2 players, but then you just take a spot and you get resources, like you said, and then you're attempting to fulfill contracts, which are these different types of cards that you have, and they're fulfilled in various different ways, kind of using those same sort of cube resources. We'll call them probably, if we call them by anything, we'll call them by the colors, just because that's how we remembered them.
It's a very
And
scientific game.
It's a very scientific game, so yeah, there's even a booklet in there telling you the science behind it. So I think after that play, I'd say it's probably, you could have it in like middle schools or high school level.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's 10 plus, so I feel like it would be a good game to like have in like your schoolroom, you know, or like if you have it like a teen or tween going through kind of like those first real science classes, because you cover the cell, and the big joke is, right, that like everybody only knows that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So like that's immediately what I thought of, and so I thought this would be kind of like a good game if you had a kid going through like 7th, 8th grade science, and you could really kind of show them how the cell works, because that's exactly how this game is set up. So
Yeah, I would agree, because yeah, I don't know that you could go. You could. I'm guessing there's kids that could do it at a younger age than that, but
yeah.
there's maybe some things in the game that kind of make it brings it to a little slightly bigger level. But if your kids are used to games, they probably, I don't think this one would be too crazy
10
for them.
plus.
Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed how you I enjoyed that you had the opportunity to fulfill cards that only had like a one-step process. So there's like 4 different types of scoring cards, essentially. There's 2 that you kind of use the center of the board for. Now I don't even remember the names of the cards.
Proteins and
proteins and steroid
enzymes and
alcohol something.
Yeah.
And the enzymes you can kind of fulfill on their own, and there's just an action for that. The
Which
alcohol
has a
one,
set collection feature.
right, and that one has its own kind of scoring that's a little bit different than the rest of the cards. Each of the enzymes has like a color associated with it, and you need there's 5 different colors, and depending on how many different colors you get more and more points. And then there's these alcohol ones, which is kind of a winner take all kind of. Some of these things remind me of Sushi Go scoring conditions.
I was just going to say, it reminds me of the miso soup from Sushi Go.
Miso soup? Isn't the miso soup where you have to put it down?
It's whichever one has the most.
Right. I think there's a couple of them. Is it miso soup? I think miso soup is where if you match,
that's true.
then neither one gets
Which
it.
one is it then?
I do not remember.
I'll think about it.
Tofu? No. But, yeah, and the alcohol one only takes 1 action to complete, and then you determine at the end of the game who has more, and you get more.
The rolls. Uramaki rolls.
That could be. And then the other two kind of use the center of the board. There's kind of 3 separate action pieces that you're taking in order to complete the cards, and that's where it's like that contract fulfillment in different segments, which I find is cool. So like the first layer, you have to have the certain colored cubes to add to them on that layer. And then the next layer, the secondary color cube that goes with that card. And then the third layer, you have to pay the little token things. Don't remember what they're called either.
ATP.
ATP. And then that's when you actually complete the card, fulfill it, and you kind of get to put it out in front of you, score some points. And yeah, I found that to be pretty cool, but then at the same time, potentially problematic towards the ending rounds, just because it takes you 3 worker actions to do that. And in a 2-player game, I think you get 4 actions. I think in higher player counts you get less and less actions. So I could see how that would make your last rounds potentially feel kind of meh. And even in our game, we both got to the point where we didn't have the cubes and cards to actually fulfill something, which made the last round kind of almost meaningless in a way. Just kind of getting a couple extra points via cubes. But other than that, I think the rest of the game was really quick, snappy turns, especially at 2 players. I think we probably played it in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Was it even that much?
It says 60 to 90.
60 to 90. And probably with more players it would take longer. But yeah, I felt like this just flew by. You were either trying to complete your cards or you were trying to take different resources and stuff. So it was pretty quick.
Right. Yep. Nope, it was faster than that, I think. So.
So, I guess what were your initial thoughts on it? Score that you would give it after a play, or thoughts on future plays?
I think that the target audience for this would like it. Like, I feel like I would have liked playing this in 7th or 8th grade when I was studying, like, the actual cell biology. Science is not my strong suit. It was never my strong.
So you would have much rather been playing games than studying, is what you're saying?
I think that it would have helped
probably the
me
only
understand the piece of it better. But so I think for that purpose it'd be good. Like if you have kids that are into science or really anyone, like my sister-in-law is into science, so like she probably would like this game or the theme of it anyway. But for me, like it just doesn't hit. Like, I think it's a good game overall for the target audience, but I don't know that this would be, like, a regular one. It is pretty... I don't know. I'd be afraid to see it at a higher player count because we took 2 different approaches to this game. You went all enzyme, which is the quick scores, and I went all proteins, which is the hard score.
Wow. The hard score.
Well, they're worth 7, 8, 9 points because you have to get at least...
You take 3 actions.
Again, you need 3 actions, and in some cases I needed 4 different cubes. So, I spent a lot of time doing that. So, and our scores weren't even super... I mean, they weren't super close. So, I don't know. I would be afraid to see how that would play out at a higher player count because there's
more spots on the other side of the board.
Oh, okay. See, I thought there's only one side to the board.
No, there are 2 sides.
Oh, so that makes more sense.
We had less options at 2 players.
Okay, I was like, how in the world would you play this at? Okay.
Yeah, luckily.
Okay, I see. So it just was purely because I went one way and you went the other way that I was able to get those through.
Probably.
Hilarious.
But yeah, if we had been trying to do the same things, there's, in the 2-player version, almost every action spot, except maybe one, has only 1 spot. So if someone takes it, that's another thing that could mess with it, is if you are both trying to complete the same type, you're kind of out of luck, especially in like the final round. But there are 2 gray workers, I do like this too, that you can buy prior to your round starting, and then place them in any spot, including ones that have already been taken. So I do really like that they at least gave that mitigation option as a way to do that a little bit. They're pretty costly, but you could use them in a bind if you have what it takes to use them. Yeah. The ATPs.
Right. Which are which are very valuable because you also need those to turn in cards. So if you have...
So trying to do both
Yeah.
at the same time, it could be tough.
Right, you gotta be ready to. So, okay, no, that's good to know that there's more on the other side.
But it's still, I think, at the max player count, could be tight.
Yeah.
But yeah, after one play, probably put this one, like you said, I think at this point in my gaming career, if this had been like one of the first games I had gotten, or kind of early on when we got like this, if we had gotten this instead of Stone Age, I maybe would have like had a different feeling for this game.
Yeah.
But since I've played so many different worker placements and seen what they can do, this one just doesn't feel like it does too much different. I do like that middle piece, but then at the end of the day, there is kind of a little bit of a negative to it. So I'd probably put this one at like a 6.5 for me. But yeah, overall, I think the game really works. It's just a matter of when I got it in my career, in my gaming career. I think if you get this earlier on, I think you'll appreciate it probably more than I do. But the game flows really well. It all makes sense. I think the one other slight issue, or not, it's not really an issue, but you just have to remember it, is that in one of the... So part of fulfilling a card is using like these red cubes, but like then that's the first step in the, I think it's the steroid one or whatever.
Yep.
And you're actually using black cubes to do it because they change into red cubes there. And then there's an action to change black cubes to red cubes, but those are used specifically for your enzyme cards.
Yes.
So making sure you remember that and don't think you have to get the red cubes first could be... I'm not quite sure why they did that, but I don't know why they didn't just have it.
It has something to do with how the cell works.
Yeah. Scientifically, it probably makes sense,
Yeah.
but in the game, it kind of makes it sometimes difficult to remember, especially if you're not really looking at the action, you're looking at the card in your hand. You're going to think, oh, I need red cubes.
Yeah.
But
right.
Yeah, I think otherwise this would be a good one if you're trying to get into worker placement and understand how that mechanism works.
Yeah, I agree. I probably would rate it about the same as you. I do think though, I'm excited. We have kids in and around us, not ours, but we have kids, and so I'm like, it's only going to be a few years until the oldest one is at a point where he'd be learning probably stuff like this and related to another kind of sciencey game. So I'm like, we gotta find a hold on to it and just kind of like, this would be a great one to like bring to kids to kind of start getting them into those more serious board games. I think this is a great gateway game because it is so streamlined, clean, and like educational.
I would 100% agree. I think that's the perfect use for this game. And like I said, if you're really into science and you do like worker placement games, this one might also be one for you, even if you have, maybe moved on beyond some of the intro worker placement games.
And sometimes it's nice to get rid of all the fluff and extras that go with some of those bigger Euro games that mush up worker placement with
What are you
other
saying
things.
about this? What are you saying about
I'm just
my
saying,
worker placement games?
it's just a very pure version
Yes,
of what
it is.
that is. So
Yes. But yeah, we've got an unboxing video going up alongside this, so you can check that out if you want to see the components inside. But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one, and as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.